Hey, everybody, welcome back to another live episode of the Rocky Mountain Cigar Show here at the Smokin' Studios inside the Rocky Mountain Cigar Show. That's how I should have set it off. But again, I always screw up the beginning of the show. Either way, we have an absolutely fantastic show tonight. Two guys, Hector's been on the show a couple times, and Jack Torano is like first time he's coming on. But I've been trying to nail these guys down together to come on a show. It's going to be a great time. We're going to talk about some stories. They may go some wild stories. Who knows? Maybe a little bit of product, a little bit of what to expect and what's new, and obviously just to have a great time and a great experience with them. So a big shout out to all the show sponsors that remotely make this show possible. We've got BAMF Cigars, ROCF Cigars. We've got Kristoff Cigars, Berger Cigars, Sagrado Cigars, New Air Humidors. In the description below, you'll see a promo for 15% off their humidors. Please use it. I get absolutely nothing for it. I just wanted to be able to give back to the viewers of the show. We've got Micallef Cigars, we've got Big Sky Cigars, Cornell and Diehl pipe tobacco, BAMF Cigars, and ROCFcigars.com. You could look in the promo or in the description below as well. You'll see a 15% off promo code to the entire website. No limits, no blackouts. Have a great time, spend a lot of money, and get yourself some absolutely fantastic cigars. We've got La Aurora Cigars as well. And tonight I am drinking the Axe and the Oak rye whiskey, and we'll get into what cigars that we're smoking. But huge shout out to Abe DeBabna over at smokin.com as well. For any of the cigars that we're going to talk about tonight, for any of the Espinosa line, you could jump straight over to smokin.com, get yourself anything that Espinosa makes, and go ahead and get your favorite Espinosa lit up as we bring on both Hector and Jack. How y'all doing tonight?
How are you, Ryan? Nice to see you.
What's up?
Nice to see you.
What's up, brother?
Boy, I tell you, this has been a show in the planning. I think we've worked through a few different dates a couple of times. Jack was off gallivanting with all the rich and wealthy and Hollywood elites, and Hector and I are, of course, always open to do the show. So,
wait a minute. I was gallivanting with some D-list people.
No, but in all seriousness, thank you guys so much for coming on the show, and I'm looking very forward. Let's go ahead and kick off the show tonight by our only segment of the show, which is sponsored by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, which is What Are You Smoking Tonight? Jack, we'll start with you.
The Laranja Caixa.
Very
one of my all-time favorites.
Awesome. What about you, Hector?
I am smoking a Espinosa Elite from 2020. The Espinosa Elite will be opening up shortly. So in a little honor of Espinosa Elite, I'm having one of these. I'm getting back to trying to get my palate back. It was a rough 3 days of Lozano Palooza, and I got a little bit of the yips after Espinosa after the Lozano Palooza.
Little schmutz.
Had a little schmutz in the breathing apparatus, but no, I'm back to normal again.
Good.
My Lozano Palooza seemed to spread a lot of the cold around. Luckily, it wasn't COVID. Everybody seems to just have caught a cold.
Oh, great.
Everybody that had a cold or was in the process of getting a cold
came to my office.
Went to Hector's office.
That's where the demons and viruses come to mingle. It's a great location.
Hector was running a nursery school over there.
It was a breeding. It was a petri dish. My office was a petri dish.
Well, I hope it's not ground zero, Lozano Palooza, for the next big pandemic. But I am smoking the regular Laranja. I love this cigar. For those of you that don't know, this is Eric Espinosa's favorite cigar. And if you have not had this cigar yet, I would strongly recommend you do your best. Go and find one right now and light it up. It's absolutely
If you
fantastic.
haven't had that cigar, where you been the last 8 years?
I have no idea, man. I run into people that
years?
still don't know Espinosa Cigars, which just blows my mind.
Hang up on those fucking people.
You mean in your daily whereabouts when you're out, in the West Coast is what you're saying, out in the mountain zone?
Yeah, like I'll go to a lounge that doesn't carry you guys, and yeah, there are people that don't know Espinosa Cigars, or at least know of them to the extent that you guys are as big as you are. You guys are always my go-to for strength. When I just want a blow your nose and destroy your nasal cavity through the retrohale, it's always an Espinosa.
And that's the marketing campaign we're going with this year. You just want to destroy your nose, let's go
yeah, but it's not only that, dude. Our portfolio, mild to full, I'll put up against anybody.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying you guys are my go-to strong cigar because I know I can always get one.
Except in that store you go to that doesn't carry them.
That's why I order on smoking.com and I can get everything.
You saw that? He managed to plug in there. That was good. That was good work. Abe's keeping track of those things.
Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and start right in. And let's I'm going to share the show a little bit, but just for everybody that doesn't fully understand what Lizona Palooza is, can you guys give a quick little rundown? How many years have you been doing it? How much has it grown?
I'll let Hector do it. This is his baby.
Sadly, it was the last year of Lizona Palooza. We won't be having it anymore because of the COVID. And listen, Lizona Palooza is our yearly give back to the guys who've been there since day one, who help spread the word, who are big on social media, who share not only their cigar smoking experiences, but our products and our news and whenever we're on a podcast, they're sharing and they're watching, and we keep track of those things. And what better way to give back than to have them come to the factory or the warehouse? They come to the warehouse and they spend time with the team. They get to spend time with Eric and his son. They get to spend time with Jack, who's a man of the people. They get to spend time with Richie, who's a man of the people, and those few who get to spend a little bit of time with me. And we just talk about the brand and talk about what they've been smoking and what they like and what they really liked and what they're looking forward to. And in some instances, what they missed out on, that they didn't get a chance to get it because it was very limited. But we're there to be in the moment with them, and it seems to have worked out really well. I mean, even the year that we couldn't do it with COVID, we had a virtual one, and that was very well. That was the viewership was high, and it was fantastic. It's one of those. I don't know another company who does something like this on a year in, year out basis. That opens its doors, and when I mean opens its doors, we say the thing starts on Thursday, but we know people start showing up Monday and Tuesday, and some people show up on Tuesday and Wednesday to help set up. I mean, it's that kind of relationship that we've established with the people that are Lizona fans and fans of the brand.
So how does one get to be able to go? Is it ticketed? Is it invite only? Do you just show up?
Jack?
I'm sorry. Junior was texting me because the Hard Rock gambling app doesn't seem to be working for him.
That's important. He's trying to get a parlay in.
So he's trying to get.
Well, he's trying. It's an invite only. Jack's going to work that technical aspect with Junior. It's an invite only. It's invite only, and it's invite.
And I'm having a keto friendly berry parfait. So.
Yeah, this is
good. I'm enjoying the conversation. Go ahead, guys.
This is good television. This is good television right here. So it's invite only. We're cognizant of the social media aspect. Those who post on our website, those who post on the Facebook page, those who post on Instagram, and when you start seeing the same names over and over again, it's indicative. These are people that are more than just your regular fans. They're guys who are really digging the brand and digging where we're coming from. So that's how you get invited. And awesome. This year we had a new
or you
component.
Just sneak in.
Or you can just sneak in. And this year we added a new component because listen, nobody's perfect. Even, I worked in the Intel field for years and things still get by. So this year we added a new component where we would ask people who are already regulars who are coming if there's anybody that we may have overlooked. And they suggested several names, and several of those names came for the first time.
That's awesome. It's a manufacturer thrown event that you get invited to, can you buy cigars at this event, or
we give away a lot of cigars. We give away some stuff, and we also have some very limited stuff that's event only there that they can pick up there. And it's 3 days,
And some swag.
Listen, you can imagine what guys who are, if you're willing to pack your bags and come to a cigar event, you're talking about guys who smoke 7, 8, 9, 10 cigars a day.
Oh yeah.
So they and not only that, some of these guys bring their own stuff. One of the aspects of the things that we do is Eric does I think it's humidor bingo, which is a take on Jack's regular bingo, where these guys bring their humidors, their little portable humidors, and Eric will start calling out obscure marks and obscure brands and things that we made, and these guys still have them in their humidor. It was crazy. And your mic went out again.
All right.
All right.
Can you hear me now?
Also, no.
Yeah, we got you.
I thought we were going to take over.
In a few minutes.
A few minutes. Yeah. My whole rig's going to crash, and then Hector's going to take over with you, Jack. So
We're ready.
So, okay. We actually had Bruce ask, where are they located at? It's at the factory.
No, at the warehouse.
At the warehouse in Miami, right?
In
Hialeah
Hialeah
Gardens.
In the lovely city of Hialeah Gardens.
Awesome. So you do the bingo, and what do they win if they win bingo?
He gives them more cigars. What is one of the questions that we answered today? What's the best swag you can give a cigar smoker? More cigars. Another cigar. Yeah. So these guys, they got all kinds of cigars. Eric went into the humidor and, all right, who has this? Boom, he gives them a cigar. Who has that? And we were going deep into the historical vault. I mean, some cigars that we haven't made in 8, 9 years, and guys still had them. I mean, it's crazy. It really is.
What was the oldest cigar that somebody had?
the oldest cigar was an Eminent Domain, which is about 8 years old.
Wow. Now, question for you?
There were actually a couple I'd never heard of.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, do you guys have like a vault, an Espinosa vault of like rare age limited Espinosas that you guys keep?
Yes. Me and Hector does to some degree, but Junior has a section of the humidor under lock and key where he has at least one of everything we've made. So, unopened. So they went up there and dug through that.
Wow. That is impressive. I've always wondered that if cigar brands keep that first box or first run of something. And you guys have been in the industry long enough that it wouldn't surprise me if you guys had an aged rare vault, Espinosa specific vault at your facility.
Well, we've gotten better as the years progress. Remember, in the beginning, there were hard times in the beginning. There were hard times. We were behind the 8 ball for the first couple of years, and really, it didn't make any sense to keep a box of this when we could, when there's a retailer out there who wants it, But we've gotten better. We've gotten better about keeping the stuff on the side, stashing away some stuff. I personally, I gave away probably 200 old sample cigars during the Lollapalooza. Guys would come into the office. Hey, how are you? How you doing? What's new? They just want 5 minutes. I don't want to say it's Luca Brasi waiting outside to talk to the Godfather, but they just want 5 minutes. So they get a couple of minutes and, hey, here, try this. This is something, and they all love this stuff. They come back and they went, oh man, how come you didn't make that? Well, because when we were going to make it, it was awful. But it's aged really well in 6 years, so just enjoy that. So that's pretty much the long and the short.
Awesome. And how many people showed up this year?
There were about 220.
Wow. Well, hopefully next year we'll have Rocky Mountain Gourmet Bacon there at the event. We wouldn't have been able to do it this year. I loosely brought it up to Hector, and I'm actually glad he didn't call me because we wouldn't have been able to do it. But next year, I'm hoping that we can get down there with some of our bacon and sponsor the event of it. I do. I have a bacon.
Making bacon.
He's making bacon.
I have a bacon company, Rocky Mountain Gourmet Bacon.
And just when you thought you've seen it all,
right?
making bacon, buddy.
Exactly.
If you're making jerky, that's more of Jack's line right there. That's Jack's alley right there.
Well,
You're making
listen, bacon's pretty good too. And oddly enough, isn't that what we charge to be on this show? A couple boxes of bacon, I think. So,
I'll be checking my inbox. I'll be checking my mailbox soon.
Well, I tell you what, thank you so much, Bruce. I tell you what, we would love to come down and do that. We'll talk about that at a different time, but just throwing that out there, we would love to have Rocky Mountain Gourmet Bacon associated with Lazona Fest next year if there's room. That would be a lot of fun, I think. So 3-4 days, Lazona Fest, big cookout barbecue. Was Guy there this year?
No, Guy was not here this year.
No.
He was there last year.
He was there for the last one, and he sent a video message that he will be here for the next one. So, but he had plans, and he's a pretty busy dude.
Yeah, he's a very busy guy.
So we kind of work around his schedule when we can utilize Guy. That's why I had to fly to Colorado the week right a few days before Lazona Palooza.
Yep.
To get those events done. He's got another one coming up in Phoenix next week, and then one in San Antonio with Eric on December the 8th. So,
was he going to Cigars Daily in Phoenix?
He is.
He is. Okay. I know that's a big vendor for you guys out there.
Yeah. He's gonna be with Tim over there at Cigars Daily. Eric will be with him. So they should have a good time there.
Absolutely. So Jack.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to kind of get into just a little bit of your backstory, because I've watched you in several interviews, but I'm so curious. I know your family was in the cigars with the Torano brand.
That's what I hear.
What age did you get in?
So I was in the 80s, in my 20s, I was selling leaf tobacco with my grandfather on 8th Street in Miami. Worked the business for 5 or 6 years. My grandfather passed away. We kept the business going, but the 80s was a time that, you had trouble giving away cigars. It was something your grandparents did, and like my grandfather, they were losing their life battle. And so I kind of got out of the business, moved to Chicago, and was doing music for TV and radio commercials, and with my brother. And then in 2010, I always stayed close to the family, and attended a lot of big smokes that Torano was at, and so they used to have them in Chicago. And in 2010, I felt it was a good time to come back, and came back to work for the family. So off and on, it's been a long time.
And when did Torano sell?
2014, September 11th, 2014. And
a date that will live in infamy.
Yes.
And when did you then start at Espinosa? Shortly after.
Oh,
right?
No.
Actually,
oddly enough, when all that went down, one of the first. See, the one thing missing from Torano's portfolio was a really full-bodied cigar, and we were working with Espinosa. Espinosa was going to make us one, and we were the day that Charlie announced the sale. Hector and Eric were coming to the office to kind of finalize the blend, and one of my first phone calls was to Eric, and it was to tell him, listen, don't come here today. This is pretty much over. And I think Hector heard something through some back channels, and he said to Eric, "I think Jack got fired."
Oh, jeez.
Well, because he said, even though we weren't friends at the time, he texted me, "Don't bother calling. Eric knows why."
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which is fine. I was like, okay, Eric knows why. I'll find out later. And then from there, I went to work for a smaller boutique, Duran Cigars, for about 18 months, but was always in contact with General. I was trying to get back to represent the brand, and it took about 18 months, and finally General hired me. And then for 3 years, I worked for General, and then Torano became an internet-only brand. And as all that was coming to an end in 2018,
it was the right time for me to come on board. Eric was looking for a national sales director. I really had nothing to do that last month before they let me go. And I was spending a lot of time with Eric. And we had it all set that if they let me go before the end of the year, that I would be the national sales director for Espinosa. And they let me go. So my last day at General was December 31st, 2018. And my first day with Eric was January 2nd, 2019. So
he was unemployed for one whole day.
Yeah.
That must have been scary.
Oh, it was terrifying.
I mean, did you worry about your bills and?
Oh my God, that one day was brutal.
So, it just being curious about that. Like you saw that brand being built by your family. Was there ever an offer for you to take it? Or for you and your for like you to take the Torano Dave and run with it.
I think they knew I think they knew I didn't have $6 million laying around. So no, the offer wasn't made to me.
Oh, well, I just didn't know like if the sale was because they wanted to get out of the industry.
Well, I think Charlie wasn't into the day-to-day part of and he saw an opportunity and he took it. You can't blame him, I could at the time, but I've since softened on my stance.
Jack's a big guy, everybody. If you've never met Jack, he's super tall, big guy. I wouldn't want Jack after me, I'll tell you that.
Well, it never got that
bad. so now you kind of started with Espinosa in 19, but I'm curious, what is leaf tobacco? Are you talking like you were a broker when you were selling tobacco?
Basically, we would sell to Ernie Carrillo, to all the small manufacturers in Miami. We would import the bales of the leaves.
Okay, so you were a broker.
They would come to the warehouse and select what they wanted, and they were buying not bales of this stuff, pounds of this stuff.
Okay, awesome.
Oh yeah, they needed wrapper, binder, fill, or whatever. We had it in the warehouse, and they were buying from us.
So when you get to Espinosa, they need a national sales director. What is your first steps in seat to make the changes for you to progress through?
Well, I kind of inherited a team of mostly brokers. So
yes.
kind of in order for us to move to the next level, I told Eric, I said, we got to start looking in-house. We got to start hiring. And it's baby steps. Give me one in-house hire a year. And we can start in areas that we don't have representation. And there were quite a few of them. And, the Midwest, Texas, we had representation, but it just wasn't working out. So, I the first day when I met the entire sales team, I told them, listen, at the end of the year, I'm going to be judged on your performance. And I would certainly rather go down with a team I hired instead of a team I inherited. So if you're doing your job, you're going to stay on board. If you're not, I'm going to make a change. And there weren't many changes. Eric had a good core group of brokers. Then we brought on board in Texas and Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas. We brought on board Tony Gomez as our first in-house guy. And Tony's been out there killing it. And then the second hire was Tyler Jones in the Midwest, and we had nobody in the Midwest. I mean, I think at one time, way before me, there was some broker that really wasn't doing anything. And so Tyler inherited an area that was ripe for growth, and the kid has just knocked it out of the park. And then in year 3, I brought a kid that worked at Cigar Room in Huntsville, Alabama, Gavin Grantham. Brought him on board, and he's starting to, it takes from not being that road warrior, it takes a year or two to you to figure shit out.
Yeah.
And Hector can attest, because me and Hector look at numbers all the time, and this kid's starting to figure it out. And
listen, he's also inheriting, and Jack's being kind of kind. Some of these guys inherited where he said there wasn't much meat on that bone. So I mean, they didn't have a lot of fallback. They had to they earned it. They made their bones.
Yeah. And then just recently, back in I believe May, we brought on board a guy to handle Missouri. What does he have?
Iowa, Nebraska,
Missouri, and Kansas.
Yeah.
and I might expand him a little bit. Maybe give him Minnesota as he starts learning the ropes. But he's been doing really well. He's got a big territory, but not a lot of shops. He's probably got 50 accounts right now, and there is room for growth. But Josh Bowling, and he worked at he had his own shop in North Carolina at one time. Then he moved to Kansas City and started working with Kendall Culberson at Outlaw. So the kid knows his stuff. Big Espinosa fan. His first order of business when he got hired was to put a giant La Bomba tattoo on his wrist. So I'm gonna have trouble firing that guy.
Yeah.
That's
we
dedication.
we kind of used a minor league farm system. If you think about it, Tyler worked at a shop that's an Espinosa Lounge. Gavin worked at a shop that does very well with Espinosa, and he worked at Outlaw, which has got to be the biggest shop in that region.
Yeah,
it's got the two biggest shops in that region.
Biggest three shops.
So listen, we're not. These guys they may be green but they're not green to cigars. I mean, I would tell you, Gavin knows the portfolio almost as well as I do. I mean, that's how, and Tyler,
and he knew
well.
it. And one of the coolest things, I mean, Tony was a broker, and kind of this was his first venture into being an in-house guy, and he had to learn the portfolio a little bit. But Gavin knew it like the back of his hand. Tyler Jones knew it like the back of his hands. Josh knows it. These guys that we've brought on board, we're big Espinosa fans. So when you're a big fan, it's easy to sell a product.
Absolutely.
And we put out a good product, and these guys, Gavin and Josh, have come on board during this knuckle sandwich whirlwind that we're on, and it's been a good run for everybody.
So since you brought up knuckle sandwich, I want to stick there for a second. Espinosa did something that no other brand has ever been able to actually achieve. And that is a successful celebrity-backed, not only in name and pictures, and he smokes it, but he actually backs the cigar. He helps create it or does testing with it and everything. How did Espinosa do that and nobody else was able to?
Well, I mean, listen, it was tried over and over with regional celebrities, regional athletes. So, listen, Big Papi had a cigar. Everybody in Boston loves that guy. He's hated in a lot of other places. Ray Lewis, Gary Sheffield. You can go on and on and on. The Soprano cigar, pretty successful at one time. I think Ditka had a little bit of success with his cigar. But we tapped into a guy that not only is behind the brand, smokes a lot, is a true cigar aficionado, but arguably one of the most popular dudes in the United States. I mean, this guy, everybody eats. Everybody. The Food Network's one of the hottest channels out there. So Guy is everywhere, and he's not a regional celebrity. He is nationwide,
international.
Yeah, everybody knows him. If they don't know the name, they know the image for sure.
And it's not about not just about making a successful, collaboration, which we did. These are cigars that merit the success they've got. I mean, last year was the Habano made several top 25 lists. It landed on several top 25 lists for a lot of the media guys,
including Cigar Aficionado.
It made the consensus. This year we expect the same from the Maduro. I mean, it's not just a guy who slapped his name on a cigar. It's a guy who likes cigars, picked a good cigar, a cigar that he liked, and a cigar that's done very well.
Yeah, I myself was able to score a box. I think you guys only brought like 20 of them to Cigar Fest. There wasn't many of the Yellow Chef Special box. And I managed
there were 50, Ryan. There were 50.
Was there? Okay, so I'll tell you, when I got to the table, there was not that many.
Listen, it blew me away. We had 50 of the TAA Murcielago. That's a TAA exclusive. Smoker Friendly's a retailer, a TAA retailer, and we had 50 of the chef specials among a few other things. And I thought, oh my God, we have a lot of cigars here. We went through, I think at the end we may have 2 or 3 of each of those left. So
wow. Well, I know you guys, I think, ran out of the chef special because when
We
I
did.
went back up to bring a buddy to get a box because he was blown away that they were even here. I managed to snake a box, and then I even got the new box, the new release chef special, like a month or two ago.
So what
that
was supposed to be at Rocky Mountain was the new chef special. It got delayed, as most shipments are being delayed for one reason or another. It was delayed a couple of weeks, so they went with last year's chef special. But imagine if we would have had, the plan was to have the new chef special really for the first time anywhere at Rocky Mountain.
Well, personally, I'm glad you had last year's because I wasn't able to get it.
Yeah.
And my wife loves those cigars. She's had both of them and she absolutely loves them. In fact, the crema, and I've said this to Hector, and in fact, my wife has said this to Hector when Hector's been on Moxie's interview, ladies interview thing that she has done. The crema is one of my wife's all-time favorite cigars, period.
Nice.
She always has a box of it. But no, I was really.
Your wife is Moxie?
No, my wife
Moxie
is
hosts
close
Moxie
friends
hosts
with Moxie.
Oh, okay.
This room and
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my wife's part of that group, and they do manufacturers will come in. Hector was on it a couple of times.
So it's a whereby room. It's one of the whereby.
Yeah, it's a whereby. Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I was really happy you had last year's, and I picked up this year's. But why do you think, like, without saying anything, I haven't had it yet. I don't even know who's really making it, but the Chaz Palmieri cigar. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Palmieri. I don't think that's gonna take off like chef special. I really don't.
Listen, I hope it does.
What is the magic? What is the magic behind chef special?
We hope it does. We hope it does. Dean Parsons is a good friend of ours. And
listen, the magic behind chef special is they are great fucking cigars. Hector did an unbelievable job.
Oh, very much
with these cigars, and then you got arguably one of the most popular dudes on the planet out promoting this cigar. So it's.
Listen, there's a reason. There's a reason why the products that he endorses do well. Doritos, he does. All these things. He gets behind things he believes in, and he believes in this brand. He believes in his cigars. He's got his name attached to it, and I'm telling you, he is a very good partner.
There's a guy I got to say hi to, Cody Carroll. You know Cody?
Oh, love Cody. Cody's our marketing director for the charity that you guys supported.
Guy labeled him a little bit pushy, but we had a real good time. What's up, Cody?
Well, Cody actually got a picture of his before he was remotely
from
famous.
2009.
Yeah, remotely famous. So that was really cool. That he was super excited to go and meet him in person. I know that. So
yeah.
I guess for me, it just seems like that when Guy does something, like I don't really see other celebrities promote the way Guy does. And I think that's obviously, like you said, Jack, is a huge thing. And I know Eric had that conversation with him around an understanding of what it would actually take to make a brand successful. And it doesn't seem like he shied away from doing anything to make that successful.
No.
So,
he's been readily available for whatever we need. He truly loves this industry and has been smoking for a long time, and it shows. It shows that he's not just some guy that lent his name to a cigar.
You should have seen how emotional he got when he made the cover of CA.
Yeah.
What a big deal it was to him personally. This is a guy who's been on People magazine. He's been on a bunch of different other magazines. And what a big deal it was for him to make the cover of CA. I mean, listen, this is a guy who loves this industry. We were very, very lucky. We've been very blessed. And the growth factor is still untapped. There's so much more that's going to come from this. But listen, this is a chance for us to do everything right. When
Yes.
when Guy came to us, we've been around 9 years. When Guy showed up, and we started doing stuff with Guy. And listen, all companies make mistakes, but here is a chance for us to develop a brand from the beginning with using everything that we've learned in the last 9 years. And I'm telling you, it's been a godsend, and it's worked out very, very well.
So what do we have? Can you give everybody just like if you can't, you can't. I'm not one that pries, but since we're talking about it, can we give any insight into what to expect down the road with the knuckle sandwich line?
Listen, we have played it close to the vest. We built the brand with 2 core lines, and in the first year, the Chef Special is limited. We did a birthday cigar for him, which was a lesson for us. We found out right away, right after launching that cigar, that we are no longer a 500 box company. We did a birthday cigar for him called the 55 because he had just turned 50. And those 500 boxes were a bigger problem than not having any boxes at all, because now you have a very limited item with a high demand. And there were retailers that were upset that they couldn't get it. They wanted 10, they can only get 2. So we learned, these, like I said, these are lessons that we learned. But you can expect to see, the Connecticut came up this year, which is a new line extension, a new 4 line extension. You'll see another Chef Special and another size for the show. His birthday cigar is coming out in January, the 56, which is same blend, same oval cigar, just one Vitola size, a little bigger. And who knows? We've got maybe 1 or 2 things on the burner there that we're going to do with them. But one of the things that we have to make sure of is we also don't want to overexpose. You don't want to wear out your customer base with all these limited. It's a slow growth. Listen, we're still trying to fulfill core line orders. That's how successful the launch has been.
This is Espinosa's #1 cigar right now. Is the knuckle sandwich line, right?
Right now, probably.
Probably
in the last year.
Yeah, but we still listen. The blue still does very well for us.
Yeah,
the Laranja still does well for us.
Murcielago
has picked it up incredibly. Soleil has picked it up incredibly, and the eponymous brands, the Crema and the Habano, and listen, it's just and we're not that company that makes you, that bogs you down with 30 boxes of this so you can get 1 box of that. Eric's never played that way. Eric wants to have, he wants to get a facing in your shop. We'd rather have 2 facings than no facings. So that's never been an issue. Listen, we're here to sell cigars, and we're here to promote the brand, and he is just another weapon in the arsenal.
Might we ever see just because I am a huge Lancero whore, might we ever see a Lancero inside the?
Never say never. Never say never, but I'll tell you, Guy's a big ring guy. So, I mean,
I knew that. Yeah.
He's a big ring guy. Listen, people ask, what input does he have? His input was, Eric, bro, I really like bigger cigars. Let's do a 60. And next thing you know, we did a 60. So, I mean, that's he's not a small ring guy. But who knows? Listen, never say never. Never say never.
Well, I know you guys have done some one-off Lanceros that you have in like 5-packs that you sell at events, or so like the Wasabi.
We only did that once.
Really?
We only did that at Rocky Mountains, the pool noodles.
Yeah, that was the Wasabi. That would blew me away. I couldn't believe that you guys actually had a Lancero Wasabi.
Well, since then, we now have it in a box. We've released Wasabi, but that was the teaser that Wasabi was coming out in a Lancero. And it was at Rocky Mountain where we did that 5-pack.
Yes.
But that's the only time we've ever done that.
That was really good. I bought 2 of those 5-packs. I love the Lanceros. I'm a big Lancero guy. So, getting back into kind of Jack a little bit around like what separates, you from what things were going before. So when you're bringing everybody in house and you're having these discussions with Eric, were those hard to convince him to bring in an in-house? Because now that's a whole new expense versus just paying a commission.
Not really. I mean, Eric has a good, he has a firm, what do I looking for, Hector?
Grasp.
He has a firm grasp of this industry, and he knows what it takes to move to another level. And as you're growing, you have to go, and have people that are dedicated to your brand. Listen, we've got brokers that are out there killing it. But they're also carrying 6, 7, 8, 9 brands. The growth in our industry is going in-house, and Eric understood that. And we wanted to do it slow. I didn't come in and say, I want an in-house team on day one. I told them, give me one guy a year. January 2nd will be my 5-year anniversary with Eric, and next year we'll look to go in-house again. We'll look for the right person, and luckily we've been able to find that person up to now, and the team is growing in a really good way. So, but Eric was very open to all that. He knows the cost, he knows what it takes, but it takes money to make money, and all the in-house guys are paying off, and as he sees that, it makes it easier for me to present him with another one and another one and another one. So, listen, if it wasn't working, believe me, Eric would tell me. So it's not that difficult. Listen, I came from the boutique world. I went to General, and there's a lot of red tape when you work at General. There's a lot of people in the kitchen. When I came back to the boutique world, it was really cool to go from putting a plan, coming up with an idea in the conference room, and that idea coming out 8 months later. I mean, we did that with Warzone, the collaboration we did with General the first year I was there. I mean, I think Justin Andrews came in January, spoke to Hector and Eric. We got the ball rolling, and by Lazona Palooza that year, we had released Warzone. So it was a different time. COVID slowed everything down. We used to be able to turn a brand in 6 to 8 months. Now it's a year and a half, but things have slowed down a little bit because of boxes, because of labels, because of bands, because of, but it was good to be in that world where, you bounce ideas off each other, an idea hits, and you're running with it. It doesn't have to be thrown up the channel to 9 other different VPs and senior brand managers and where one of them says, I don't know, I don't like it. It's dead. We kind of see something we like and we go with it. So.
No, and that's the whole benefit of being a lean team, right? Is not having that huge chain of approvals. I work for the largest software company in the world, and I'm telling you right now, when I want to give a discount, like 6 people have to approve it. Yeah. It becomes a little difficult. So I totally understand navigating that corporate world versus a lean team like Espinosa Cigars. So I actually asked this Hector last time when he goes out and does sales, and Hector's like, I don't do a whole lot. I'm kind of just there. But I wanted to ask you, Jack, what is your selling style, your selling approach? And what I mean by that is, I've been in sales over 20 years, so this is very interesting to me. I love talking different ways and dynamics of doing this. When you go into a shop for the first time, now you're probably well known by most, if not all, shop owners visually. But when you go into a shop that's not an Espinosa shop, what are your first things that you look at, and how do you kind of move through the shop?
Well, listen, you can get an idea. We talk about it all the time. There's 2 types of shops in this world: shops that sell cigars and shops that have cigars for sales. We thrive in a shop that sells cigars, that has active people working there, that engages their consumers, as opposed to a shop where you just have somebody scanning a barcode and you go pick your cigar and you have, the boutiques tend to not thrive in stores like that. So we're always looking for good partners. And the idea is to grow with them. Listen, because of who I am, or because of who Eric is, or because they might know Hector, I've walked into shops where they're like, put together a 40-box order, and I'm like, hang on a second, let's grow. I don't want to put together a 40-box order and have you upset in a month because you sold 15 of them, and you still have 25 sitting there, as opposed to let's bring in 3 or 4 facings, mild, medium, full bodied, a nice little variety of offering, maybe 15 boxes. And now you sell 10 or 12 of those boxes in a month. You're reordering instead of telling me, well, there's still a shitload of product on the shelf. So really, I'd rather grow than flood somebody with product, you know?
So part of your approach is education around how to buy your brand.
Absolutely. It has to be. It has to be. You know, we run into a lot of shops that want to bring us, and we made the decision quickly and early on when the popularity of knuckle sandwich took off, that we had that opportunity that some other companies have. That you listen, our knuckle sandwich, arguably one of the hottest cigars in the industry right now. Absolutely. You want to bring that in? You don't carry Espinosa. You want to bring that in? You need to have X amount of facings. That we decided we weren't doing that. You want to bring in knuckle sandwich? Bring in knuckle sandwich. And that'll be our gateway to introduce. This is doing so well. Let's start introducing Espinosa products. And it's worked really well for the reps. So we don't handcuff anybody and tell them you have to carry this in order to carry this. We don't do that. Hector mentioned it earlier. And that seems to be working. You know, we want to get our foot in the door. If a retailer tells me, I had it yesterday with the new rep, with Josh, you know, they want to bring in 3 facings, you know, 1 to show, 1 to go. Is that okay? Absolutely. Grow with that guy. You know, I'm not there to tell him no, he's got to bring in 20 facings. And, you know, the one problem every retailer in the country has is shelf space. I mean, I travel around this country. There's you can't expect a retailer that's never carried Espinosa to just open up shelf space for our entire portfolio. So, you know, you'll get a hard no from a retailer then. You know, you'll get a, let me see what I can do. Let me see who I can get rid of. Let me move some stuff around. Yeah. Let me move some stuff around. Whether you tell him, listen, let's get 3 or 4 facings in here. And let's get a mild, medium, full body, because what the last thing you want is to bring in only full-bodied Espinosa, what we're known for. But you're going to get the guy that comes in and says, man, you have any Espinosa? Yeah, I have La Bomba. Oh, man, I love Crema and Habano. Well, we don't have that, but let me take you to another brand that has something similar. You know, we don't want that. We want there to be the mild, the medium, and the full-bodied offering. And as long as we do push for that, and most of the time, you know, since we're not demanding X amount of boxes, they go for that. And it's shown success in growth at the retail level.
No, that's the best approach you could take, is if you let a customer overbuy, then they're going to always see that product on the shelf. Even if they're selling it down, they're still going to always see it. You almost want a customer to order every single month so they see that product going out versus Absolutely. A huge bulk order that'll last them for 6 months.
That's how you maintain presence in a humidor.
Correct. Yeah.
For sure.
And so let me I was talking to a lounge owner one time, and I asked, and see if you guys subscribe to this belief. And I asked the lounge owner, I said, what's the most expensive spot on your shelf? And I was looking at it like a retail, like when you go to Walmart, anything eye level, chest to eye level costs more, and then up top and below is less. So I asked him kind of if it was that layout, and he told me, he goes, my space doesn't really matter. The most expensive spot is what's in the home humidor. That's where I'm trying to be. And so I have to make sure to carry the cigars to always maintain space in that humidor. So would you agree that the home humidor, whether it be 20 cigars or 1,000 cigar humidor, is absolutely the most expensive spot? And a retailer needs to kind of always make sure they're thinking, you know, it's hard to bring in something new. What happens if that something new goes away, takes something old away that my customer loved, and now they go somewhere else? So how do you kind of work that?
That's a game that the retailer has. He knows his customer base better than we do. Absolutely. He knows what ring size they like. He knows, and definitely eye level. The thing that has changed in the last 5 years, 6, probably not more than that, is LED lighting in humidors. So where you used to be on the bottom shelf and it was dark and nobody could see it, humidors are lit up beautifully now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of times that I walk in and I see, well, we don't have an ideal shelf space, but dude, the product looks beautiful down there because they do a great job of lighting it. Ideally, you want to be at eye level. You want to listen. If I was a retailer, I certainly wouldn't, walking in the door, I wouldn't have, Padron, Fuente. Those cigars sell themselves. I would have more of the boutique brands that people have to walk by to get to and see. And I would, and as a retailer, you should move your product around. You should absolutely.
I'm sitting in my home shop now. The stuff that sells itself, you put it at the back of the humidor. Let the guys walk through the humidor. But everybody, like you said, every shop is different. There are no two shops that are identical. Even among a chain of, even if you have a guy who has 4 or 5 shops, none of the shops are identical. You could have a shop that's a big ring gauge shop, a shop that's a small ring gauge shop. Guys,
and they could be 2 miles apart.
And they could be 2 miles apart. You got guys that you're gonna have. You might have a shop that's that they're bargain shoppers. They don't carry a lot of high end stuff. Every humidor is different. So the important thing is that when we come across these humidors, come across the shop, we're lucky enough to have a product that will fit that particular humidor. So that's the important part.
No, and I absolutely agree. We have a question here from JJ Jambalaya. Does AJ make all of your cigars?
No, AJ makes probably half of the portfolio. Anything with a funky wrapper, anything with an out of the ordinary wrapper, Mexican abroad, but we still make half of our cigars.
And then this is for both of you. What are both of your favorite daily cigars?
No, listen, I'm a Connecticut guy, and that was a running joke. The first day Eric did a live Facebook Live to introduce me to the world as the Espinosa new national sales director, and he looked at me and he said, "So what do you like to smoke?" And I said, "I'm a Connecticut guy." And he said, "Boy, you came to the wrong fucking company."
Yeah, Hector's not a Connecticut guy.
But listen, I went from Casa Torano, one of the mildest Connecticut's on the market. And then I had to get used to crema. Crema has so much more flavor and complexity than a regular Connecticut. Fell in love with that. And now the knuckle sandwich Connecticut is my daily go-to. I absolutely love that cigar. Always have it next to me.
Wow. Yeah, that is an absolutely fantastic Connecticut. What about you, Hector?
I don't really, to be honest with you, Jack sits in my office several hours a day. There's nothing really that I go
Our
to
office.
In my office. So there's nothing really that I go to in the portfolio every day, because I still remember the hard times when we first started, when we didn't have product. So that stayed with me, So I very rarely smoke anything that we sell, unless it's new, and then I want to get that out of my system and go through the first couple of boxes, and then I'm back onto samples. I smoke a lot of samples. I smoke a lot of the stuff that's in the humidor that never made it, just in hopes that it might get good. But I do.
And Hector and I sitting in that office, we smoke a lot of our competitor cigars. When Absolutely. I come back from multi-vendors that I bring cigars from there, we sit there and we'll go through. Especially for Hector, who does the blending. Hector wants to know what's going on out there and where the trends are going. So we'll smoke a lot of everybody's cigars.
Absolutely.
And we enjoy doing that a lot. So.
Listen, I enjoy smoking.
And then we get pissed off when there's a really good one.
Yeah, but you smoke.
Fuck these guys.
You want to smoke. You want to smoke what your competitors are making, and if they're your friends,
you want it to suck.
Yeah, but listen, we smoke it, and then you kind of say, hey, where's it going this year? What's the trend this year? What's our competition doing? Is it Big Vitolas this year? What's the wrapper of choice this year? What's going to be the new thing this year? Because you want to get ahead of the curve, especially with how much longer things are taking to get done. So like I said, I don't really. If I had to grab one right now, my favorite of the stuff that we've made, I'm a big Oscuro fan, but I can't have an Oscuro 9:30 in the morning. I'll probably just grab a Habano, and even though I'm not a big Habano guy, I'll start my day with one. And then we'll see how the day progresses. I crave. I get those little cravings. I want this. I want that.
So Hector, being that you are the master blender, are you a cigar chaser to find the new stuff?
Well, listen, I'm very lucky. We're very fortunate. Jack and I both are regulars here at the only boutique shop in Miami. So I really don't chase a lot of mainstream cigars. There are some that I'll chase, but I am more of a guy that likes to chase the other boutiques, see what our friends in the industry are making. I wouldn't say that I chase them. I just, if they're in stock, hey, let me, I've always said it on every podcast I've ever done. I always say there's two questions asked in the cigar store. The first one is how you doing, and the second one's what's new. And I sit here in the store 3 or 4 times a week, and I hear what's going on and what's new, and I want to be on the ball because for some reason, outside of the parlor trick of hey, can you tell me within the cigar, everybody assumes that we're smoking everybody else's stuff, and I don't want to let them down. So I try. I want to be able to say yes, I had that. And depending on, I'll give my opinion. But depending on who I'm giving it to. I don't really want to bash anybody. There are some cigars that are just not for me. But listen, there are a lot of brands out there that aren't for me, but they do very well. So obviously, it's my palate is subjective.
Okay, so here's a quick question, real quick. Will you guys be bringing out travel cases with the 10 packs that you did a couple years ago?
Yes. They've got. They're in the works. They should be probably here at the beginning of the year. They're going to be some funky. They're going to be funky sizes in those travel cases. We're constantly trying to do innovative stuff, and that's I think one of the things you can do without being a huge expense and launching a brand new size extension and a core line is maybe just do some of these packs that that you send out to our friends and family in our lounges and get them out to the people. That's what we do. That's how we do it.
So Jack,
yes sir,
you obviously your family's been in extensively, you've been in for a long time. Were you ever a cigar chaser? Were you ever like a huge collector that sought the rarities or anything like that?
Not at all. I listen, when we're part of our Hector and I's prepping for the trade show is we know what everybody's releasing, and then we have a list of stuff we want to get so we can smoke. That's the closest I come to chasing anything,
Yeah, and I don't really consider that chasing because
no.
They're handing those to us, hey, because there's nothing I want more than as great as the ratings have been for us over these last 10 years. There's nothing better than you giving a cigar to Dion and Dion coming back an hour later and going, "This is fantastic." That's better than any 95 you're ever going to get in any magazine. You know what I'm saying? So these guys feel the same way. They like to give their cigars to guys in the industry to try them. This year was the cigars we were looking to try. We wanted this. I can't say the name. I'm Spanish and I can't say the name. Quadrofinia, the new Roma 50. I wanted to try that. Quinquagenario, and then I wanted to try Ernie's new Pledge of Allegiance, which we tried. It was fantastic. We tried our friends at Crown Heads. He liked the
Veritech or whatever.
And I really liked the Mule Kick. I mean, so that's just a few. I mean, I don't want to leave anybody out. There's a bunch of other guys that are dear friends of ours, and we enjoy their stuff. But we go out looking at the show, and hey, I want to try this stuff. Let's see what's up. You guys have been talking a lot of shit about this. Let's see what you got here.
No, and
once again, simply because we like it or don't like it doesn't make it a good cigar.
Doesn't make it a cigar, really.
No, I agree. And in fact, Bruce actually kind of made that point to support what you said. It's really, I don't like, there's a lot. I'm not a flavored cigar guy, but I will give props to Acid as being the number one reason why people start smoking cigars.
It's one of the great gateway cigars in this industry.
Correct.
Sure.
There are several, but
there are several that are great gateway cigars. Listen, absolutely. you need gateway cigars because you have to start your palate somewhere. I've never met anybody who said I jumped into the deep end of the pool by smoking a LFD Digger. That was my first cigar. Nobody starts there. Well, a lot of guys end up there, and they should. They're great cigars, but you have to start your palate somewhere.
No, and I totally agree. Hector, Lou asks if you've seen the Chicken Man lately. I don't know that one.
He's talking about our friend, the chicken farmer. I have not seen him probably in the last year or so, but we see each other on Facebook. On his
Yeah,
Facebook
he only hangs out by his pool now. So
yeah, Jeff Brown only does poolside retreats, so we don't get to see a lot of Jeff. But that's
Jeff motherfucking Brown.
Jeff motherfucking Brown, yeah.
So I want to kind of get into some fun stories that you guys can kind of go back and forth on. So if we were to ask you what's one of your best memories, Jack, so far being at Espinosa, what would you say?
Oh my God.
Statute of limitations is still in effect on a lot of these.
Most of the stories, listen, it's a lot of fun working at Espinosa. Most of the stories, I mean, Richie Otero came on board with us as a key accounts manager, and Richie doesn't give and take really well. And he came to one of the worst companies on the planet with me, and Junior Espinosa is one of the biggest. He spends his day trying to troll Hector, and Eric Espinosa is not far behind anybody, and it took Richie a little adjustment period to get used to the give and take at Espinosa. So we have a lot of fun. A lot of the inside stuff I can't say.
Yeah, a lot of it's just a lot of it. I mean, listen, I know where you're coming from, but just a lot of the stuff it's inside baseball stuff. And, it's maybe when I write my book, when we write our memoir.
When Hector retires, he's gonna be in the mountains somewhere, and he's gonna write a really good tell-all book.
I'll tell it'll be fuck that guy. What really happened behind the scenes?
Well, let me ask it this way. What's been one of the craziest shop stories that you guys have? Whether you walked into a shop and it was the owner, or just what's been one of like the most fun shop stories, lounge shop stories?
Jack travels a lot more than I do. I only travel
there's a shop that I did events at with Torano, that I did events at with Duran, and it was during one of those Duran events. There was always this guy there that I would take care of and give him cigars. He was in a wheelchair, and really, really nice guy. Really, really nice guy. And for years, I would see him there, and we'd exchange pleasantries, and I'd give him a cigar, and he'd buy cigars. And then one day in the Torano days, I'm standing there talking to a customer, and I see him walk in the door. And I'm like, holy shit, I've seen a miracle. I didn't know what to say to the guy I was talking to, but I had to stop. I said, you got to hang on. I'll tell you in a minute, but give me a minute. And I walked over to him and I said, what's going on? And he said, he looked me dead in the face and said, my wheelchair broke. And I looked back at the guy working the register, and he goes, yeah, apparently he can walk.
Wow.
So
wow.
That's one that always sticks out to me. That it wasn't a miracle.
There are some unique things that you do. I mean, listen, event wise, I do an event in Washington, Oregon State. You can't smoke in the shop. In Oregon, you can't smoke in the shop. They have dispensaries everywhere. Guys are smoking and shooting up in the downtown Portland, but you can't smoke in the shop. Very few of them, unless they're grandfathered in or they have an adjoining lounge. I do this. When I first time I went to this event, you do the event on the porch. You sit on the porch for 7 hours, and I said, "There's no way this is going to be a success." I've done it every year for the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, people, you tell somebody that story and they just shake their head. There's no way, and that's how it is. A lot of these things aren't funny to anybody unless you work in the
and that started with these guys meeting Hector at the trade show. And Hector, he goes by the Mr. Warmth tag.
Yeah.
And
Don
really,
Rickles.
Really, Hector prides himself in not being that first impression guy. You got to get to know Hector. You
can't let everybody in. You can't
let everybody in the door. And those people met Hector, and they were talking to Eric about this event they do in October. And Eric's like, well, I'll see. No, we don't want you. We want Hector. And Eric was like, you want Hector?
Why the fuck you want Hector?
It's been dubbed Hectoberfest.
Hacktoberfest.
One of the most successful events we do every year is Hector heading up
It's
there.
crazy. It's insane. Me and Jack did an event in Simpsonville. I mean,
They've done it 2 years now.
2 years. You would be hard pressed to find Simpsonville on a map. If I told you it was in Kentucky, it'd take you a while to find it. But it's a great shop. They do great Espinosa business. They're big Espinosa people. They're fantastic owners. And you should see the amount of people who turned out at the shop. It was just incredible. So listen, a lot of this stuff, my favorite part of the industry is, now that I do get out a little bit more, is meeting some of the reps. Because this industry, I came from the law enforcement field where, there were a lot of great guys in law enforcement. But the guys in the industry are hilarious. Nobody has better stories than the reps. I mean, and they'll just keep you in stitches. Especially, and again, some of those stories, you can't tell some of those stories because there's always somebody who's the butt of that joke, and you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But these stories are incredible. I mean, these stories are incredible. This is a great industry. It really is. It really is. If
you can't have fun in this industry,
you're not trying. Even I have fun in this industry, and I try not to, and I have a lot of fun.
Listen, Hector and I will be traveling to Alabama next week, and it's going to be a fun 3 days, 4 days in Alabama. We have 3 events. One of them is a poker event. Hector's going to show off his newly found poker skills.
My newly found poker skills,
So we have a great time. We have a great time and listen, for the first couple of years that I was with Espinosa, the running joke was that we release Hector out into the wild once a year for Hacktoberfest. But Hector's phenomenal. Hector brings the inside of the master blender, of the factory, he brings that, and they're probably shocked at that shop that he's sitting in right now, but one of the most personable dudes on the planet when we travel together. Even Eric asked me, "How's Hector?" And when I told him, he was like, "No way." I'm telling you, dude.
They don't know. They don't. I don't.
Get them out of the office.
I don't know them. They don't know me. We're starting even. It's all good.
Yeah.
Listen, I really do enjoy that part. So hopefully there'll be more of that.
Once you get through Hector's candy shell, he's a great guy.
I'm all warm and fuzzy on the inside.
Well, I tell you what, you're in good company with that nickname, Mr. Warmth. That's what they called Don Rickles. So, and he was the ultimate of.
I'm not quite the ball buster that Rickles was.
Yeah,
right?
ball buster.
Just people can get on you, but cigar smokers.
Hector is a little bit of a ball buster, but Hector doesn't like it when it turns on him.
Well, because I don't.
He's not a good receiver of the ball.
I don't bust my friend's balls. Here's what he doesn't tell you, Ryan, is I generally do not mess with my friends. So when they mess with me, I'm looking at them like I'm in shock. Like, are you fucking kidding? Are you serious? Because the only response to that is a chop to the throat. And then now you got a whole bunch of different problems. Now you got HR involved. Like you hit it. What the fuck's wrong with this guy? Let's make fun of that guy. We don't know that guy. Don't make fun of me. So it's a little tough.
You make fun of the ones you love.
No, don't love me.
Is Eric the HR director? I can only imagine how that would go.
Yeah, I'm the HR director. Yeah.
Get over it.
Yeah. HR, what is that?
Hector's meeting with HR, but he's in there alone.
So, and listen, you talk about the people who come to Lozona. You want to know how you can get invited to Lozona? Look at the comments. Brett Mercurio, Tim McCabe, Barbara Colley. These people just spent 3 days with us smoking. Yeah. And here they are on a Thursday night at 8:30, 9 o'clock watching
our dumbasses talk.
And that's how we remember these things. That's how they come to Lollapalooza. That's how they get invited.
Tim McCabe says you're the best.
Listen, Tim McCabe worked at a shop. I don't know if he still does, but he worked at a shop in Buffalo. We didn't have a rep at the time for an event that they were doing. He drove me around the shops. This is a guy who's not really connected to the company, but there he was. He volunteered to do it. That's the kind of guys that we have, the kind of people that we have that are committed to the brand. How do you turn your back on that?
Yeah.
So let's touch on that. When you guys find people this committed, how does that? Okay, so let me.
It freaks me out at first. I don't like it.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Like,
I don't like it. No, seriously. When you meet these guys, there's always listen. I came from my past life. You always have, you always have a little bit of like, what does this guy want? These guys don't want shit. They just want to tell you how much they like your cigars, and what kind of a tool would you be to not sit there and listen to them express themselves, and then they'll tell you about all the cigars they've had. Listen, what other industry do guys bring you back cigars that they bought from you 10 years ago? Here you go. I thought you might want one of these. I mean, that's they're bringing the babies back to the roost. You know, it's great.
And listen, we thought we were the only ones that smoked Espinosa 365 days a year. There's a whole crew of them out there.
There's a whole crew.
Yeah.
Corey Davis, these guys.
Corey Davis
is the one that
Steven
shows
Simpson.
up with some vintage Espinosa stuff. Every time I run into him, he's got another vintage cigar.
There's a guy that smokes in Margate, Steve Simpson. This guy is retired, late 60s. I'm in Washington. I'm in Washington with our brand new rep that's showing me around, taking me to some places. We're at a casino. I turn around, Steve Simpson's there. What are you doing here? Oh, I was in Seattle. I'm taking a cruise, or it came out. We just came to vacation. The guy said I could smoke cigars up there. He got there. Then what do you think he was smoking? You thought, well, maybe he was smoking Espinosa. 3,000 miles from home, smoking Espinosa. That's why he's a Hall of Famer.
That would have been awkward.
That would have been, I mean, listen, you got to love these guys. You got to love them.
So what was that like for you, Jack, when you came into Espinosa and kind of just saw because Espinosa has a very big fan base, like a hardcore to the bone fan base. All you got to do is go to look at Dojo, and you guys are in the top cigars all the time across Dojo. And that's like 20, 30,000 people. So what was it like for you to go to Espinosa, and all of a sudden, like, you had this massive fan base of people that are hyper intense about Espinosa?
Listen, it was great to see. I mean,
he's a man of the people, Brian. He's a man of the people.
I'm a man of the people, but
he's a man of the people.
Torano didn't have that. So, social media, I remember back in the Torano days, social media was just getting started back 2010, 2009, and we always knew that it was a piece of the pie. You needed a piece of the pie you needed to conquer. It's free advertising. It engaged your consumers on social media, but we never had the army, that anywhere close to. You always saw what Drew Estate had. Drew Estate was second to none. Espinosa's not far behind. I mean, the people that support us aren't just customers; they're friends. I mean, these people are friends of ours. I mean, it took me a while to meet so many of them. Let me give you an example.
Jack, these guys, we started so small. And Eric, listen, it drives me crazy because I come from a very structured hierarchical world, with a chain of command. And he has a no guy. I'm willing to say no at all times of the day. No is one of my favorite words. Customers have his cell phone number and call him directly, and they know when stuff's coming out. That's where else does that happen? Nowhere. And
listen, that's what's great.
And I told him, dude, he goes, that's how we built the company. You can't argue with that. You can't argue with that. And Jack's happy. Jack, listen, all Jack had to do was wait for the first on a Palooza when a guy named Don Smith, who he loves, wore a shirt with Jack's picture all over. So that's one of those, Jack fit in nicely. So let me answer your question, Ryan. Jack's a man of the people, and the people love him, and he's fine with it.
Yeah, that was a good moment there when Don Smith showed up with a T-shirt with me all over it.
Yeah, it's
one of the prettiest T-shirts I've ever seen.
Did he give you one?
No, they don't make it.
No. It's a one-off. There's only.
I thought he made a Torano shirt.
No. He made a shirt with Jack's mug all over it.
So Don Smith lives in Tyler, Texas. One of the biggest Torano fans. He had more Torano cigars, 10 times more than I ever had. And when Charlie sold the company, Don Smith, he had like about 1,400 Torano cigars in his humidor. He donated 1,000 of them to Cigars for Warrior. He said, "I'm going to keep some of them." And then I went to Duran, and God love him, he started supporting Duran. And then he went, and then I went to General back to Torano, and he goes, "God damn it, I gave away all the cigars." so he bought I don't know how close you can
He's
come.
looking.
See
Look at that.
one.
More to the left. More to the left. There you
Right
go.
there. There you go.
Those aren't flowers. Those are Jack's faces.
Oh,
Possibly
Jack,
the
you
ugliest
gotta
thing.
get that.
The ugliest thing this side of Versace.
So and he was wearing a jacket. November, it wasn't all that cool, and he's wearing a jacket, and it was his first Lozano Palooza, and Eric's gotten to know him. So Eric likes to introduce all the newcomers to Lozano Palooza, and he said, "Don Smith, stand up." It wasn't planned. I had no idea what was happening, but Eric said, "Don, come up here and tell everybody who you are." And as he gets up there, he takes off his jacket and he's got this shirt on, and Eric looks at him and he goes, "That's the ugliest fucking shirt I've ever seen." and listen, that's the kind of guys. Don Smith is an amazing man, and has supported me every step of the way. He's just a good dude. I mean, anywhere I am in Texas, he'll travel 2.5, 3 hours, 4 hours to be at whatever event I'm at. He's a really good guy. And there's so many of them like Don Smith in the Espinosa Army.
I did an event earlier this year in January in Bath, Pennsylvania. Find that on the map, okay? We had guys who drove 2 hours, 3 hours from New York. I'm sure that's $2,000 in total, right? To drive from New York anyway. And there they were. I mean, there they were. What's up, Cookie? How you doing?
So does it still take your breath away when you go to an event and you see people 2 hours, 3 hours just in for, hey, I'm going on a cruise and I'm just gonna stop by. Like
yes.
Does that, are you not jaded to that?
There was a guy recently. Eric did an event somewhere in I want to say somewhere in Arizona, and a guy had won an Espinosa humidor, and he drove 4 hours to have Eric sign that humidor, and then drove back home. 8-hour round trip just to get Eric, just to shake Eric's hand and get Eric's signature. And that guy, our rep in Arizona, Brandon Wells, brought a cigar group by our office a few weeks ago. That guy was in that group, and when Eric saw him, he was like, "Holy shit, you're the guy." He goes, "I've been telling that story everywhere."
Yeah.
And he was just like, it was no big deal to him to drive 8 hours round trip to meet Eric and get his signature on the humidor.
If Madonna was outside of my door, she would still be outside. I wouldn't drive 5 minutes to see her. And yet these guys, and I'm just, for example, any celebrity, and yet here they are. They come, and of course you embrace them. You have to.
Well, there are certain Mets you would stand in line for.
Yeah, okay, maybe, but baseball season's not until next year.
So, I mean, that's like, I remember the first time where I actually had somebody go, "Hey, I watch your show. Can I get a picture with you?" I was like, "Are you me? You serious? Like, how did you even hear about me?"
Have you signed anything for anybody, Ryan?
Not yet. Not yet.
Can you sign this right away? I'm thinking identity theft. I'm not thinking that he's going to put it on his wall. I'm thinking identity theft. So, I've got to do like chicken scratch. So, that's the first thought on my mind, guys. Guys are in line to get stuff signed. That's crazy. But
Hector subscribes to LifeLock, everybody. Don't take his signature.
but we do it, man. Listen, there's nothing that we wouldn't do for them, because they have shown that there's nothing that they won't do for us. Oh, you like that? Pretty deep, huh?
No, that's awesome. So how has Espinosa cultivated that from the beginning? Like, what caused? What was it? Just the cigars? Was it Eric? Like, what caused that?
Like I told you, like I said earlier, and I think I said on your previous show, we're a company that came into its own as we established ourselves. So did social media. The social media. we were on Facebook right away. We were on Instagram right away. We grew with social media. The cigars just luckily happened to be good, and the personality of the brand. Listen, I said many times for the first 4 or 5 years of this company, anywhere that we got, as far as we got, we got there firmly sitting on Eric's shoulder. Then, we got our first big break with Roger. And then things just kind of snowballed. We would not be where we are right now if it wouldn't have been for him, his connections and ties in the industry, the people who came to listen. Our first show was a little bit scary. I mean, he was, we were behind the 8 ball from the beginning, but people came to seek him out because they love him. What the guy's got persona. And it's a guy who's been left dead 3 times in this industry, and like a phoenix rising from the ashes every time. There he comes. He regenerates.
Listen, there's nobody like Eric. You do events with Eric Espinosa. I've done events with a lot of people. There's nobody like Eric. When Eric leaves that room, everybody that he touched feels that they're now good friends, and they're probably walking out with Eric's cell phone number.
Sure.
They
when he leaves a room,
listen, Eric hands out a business card with his cell phone number, as do I. I get calls from consumers all the time. Hector doesn't. But I have my
card just says Newman on it.
And these guys, the Espinosa Army, know that they can contact us anytime they want. What other industry is like the cigar industry, that you can walk into a shop, pick up a cigar, and really enjoy it, and within 5 minutes, if you choose to, be engaging with the guy that made that cigar, that blended that cigar on social media? I mean,
sure. Listen, when my engine light came on, I couldn't reach the guy at Lexus and tell Yoshi, "Hey, there's something wrong with my car." This is the only industry you can do that.
This is the only industry that you can connect with. You within 5 minutes, you could get me, Hector, Eric, or all 3 on a call, and it happens quite often.
Absolutely. To your point,
this cigar ain't burning right. I get that call.
but to your point, like, what other, like, I have Bobby Newman's cell phone number. I know Bobby Newman gives his cell phone number out. There's no reason why he would do that. Like it just doesn't. The cigar industry has a very close connection to their consumers, at least the good brands, and it's honestly that. Hey, I can call Jack. Now, I might not call Jack but a couple times a year, but when I call Jack, I can talk to him for 15, 20 minutes, and that made my entire day to be able to talk to Jack. Or I could call Hector and ask him about a cigar. Hey, my cigar's like that. Well, you know what I mean. But the point is
let's keep it on text message. We're doing good.
But the point is like these guys, these consumers, you try to reach out to the president of Ford Motor Company. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Of course.
And like Eric was my second guest I ever had on my live show. And he was passed along through Sean over at Smoking Cave. And I called Eric, and Eric was the nicest guy in the fucking world. Oh, hey, brother, how you doing? Hey, yeah, I'd love to do the show. When can we do it? Like, never met me from Adam. Talked to him for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden he goes, yeah, I'd love to jump on it. You just don't get that in any other industry where you get that much care and attention to the consumer.
I agree.
And I think that is what really builds the brand. And when you look at other brands that aren't building, aren't growing, the first thing I ask owners is, what's your social media like? What's your presence with your consumer? Well, I don't really have it. Well, then it's going to be really hard to create that base. And it's going to be hard.
The hashtag, the Lozano LZP 2023 was shared 5,000 times during the 3-day period of a Lozano Palooza. That just, that's how you look. Chrissy Critchfield, another Lozano person, shop owner. There she is online. It's Thursday. She should be watching Matlock or something.
She should be sick of us. She should be sick
She should
of
be
us right
sick
now.
of us. But here she is. Look, I have an event tonight, but wanted to jump on. I mean, listen, Barbara Collier, who must have hugged me. If she hugs me one more time, I'm going to get a restraining order. I mean, it's just that kind of, but these people love you. You have to reciprocate. If you don't, you're just harming your brand. You're harming your brand, and that we're not here to do that.
So I am curious, Jack. You had mentioned the word boutique a few times. I asked this to Hector last time. I'm always curious because there's no hard and fast definition of what a boutique cigar is.
There's no hard and fast. A Toro now. I saw somebody tell me they were smoking a Toro 5x48. There's no hard and fast anything anymore.
A Toro 5x48. My question is, what is your definition of a boutique cigar?
Listen, I view it from the inside. I mean, we are certainly at the higher end of boutiques right now, but having worked for General and having worked for Torano and having worked for Espinosa and having worked for something that was a sub boutique that you don't hear often in Duran, I kind of look at it internally. We can turn on a dime, where to make a decision at General, you're trying to turn a cruise, the Titanic, where we can turn on a dime. And I think we roll like a boutique company. Listen, our numbers might be getting to an area where we're not considered boutique anymore. But there certainly can't be, in my mind, two categories. It can't be boutiques and the big boys. It can't be, because there's a lot of smaller companies that you can't just lump all these smaller companies and all the big companies. Like, what do you consider Perdomo? Perdomo a boutique? Perdomo's not a boutique.
No.
But they run their ship like a boutique.
Okay, so the small lean is what
they're small. Boutique. They're lean. They make decisions on a dime. Something that the big boys don't do. And I've been part of that. Listen, I loved working for General. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. Loved the people there, but there's a lot of red tape there. There's a lot of, where we don't have that. We run like a boutique. The decisions are made in that conference room at the drop of a dime. You like this, let's try this instead of this, let's go. And we're off. That doesn't happen in the bigger companies.
No, it doesn't.
And to me, that is what kind of the definition to me of a boutique.
See, that's the first time I've ever actually had that definition. I've heard people say 1 million cigars a year or less, $1 million worth or less. That's actually, to be honest with you, that is the most streamlined definition of a boutique cigar company.
I'm glad I could help.
Because it's
He's
boutique.
been working on it all day.
But let me just let's break that down.
I got a PowerPoint I can show you.
Can you share your screen for me? Share your screen.
But if you break that down for a second, that really is the best definition of a boutique. Are you a lean company, or are you a company that has to go through a bunch of hoops, like you said, to turn ship or turn real quick? That is probably, I'm going to steal that, because I love that definition of a boutique cigar, because it doesn't go off of sales. It goes off of the size of the actual internal workings of the company. And I think that's a more accurate description of a big to small company versus a boutique, Bruce, I'm going to go ahead and say no.
No,
but are not. You guys? I didn't think so.
No, we're a little bit too big for that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's more like a micro boutique. And listen, they more power to them.
And listen, that group has done a lot of good for themselves.
Sure, and they had a great show.
But that is the kind of group that if I was still at Duran, I would want Duran to be part of the boutique, cigar association, because I think that does they work hard for each other. But definitely that is a conglomerate of a lot of smaller smaller boutique companies, and it does very well. But I think this is part of what I told you, that there can't be two categories.
Yes.
You know, there can't be small and big. There can't be boutique or not boutique. You know, there can't be. There is a big a big playing field there, where I think we are a little bit above that, in terms of sales, in terms of how we do business, in terms of a lot of things. So
now, Jack, I would be remiss to have you on and not ask the question that I literally ask to every single guest. I have been in sales for over 20 years, and I've actually found that the only reason why I'm successful in sales is not just me, but it's the information I have around me. It's the people, it's my mentors, it's the people I can pull from. So I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is your take on having a mentor? Do you feel it's good for people to have somebody in their life that will give them the cold, hard truth? Brutal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, if I want the cold, hard truth, Hector and I bounce things off each other all day long, you know, and we don't cut corners. We don't bullshit each other. You know, sometimes we don't agree with what we say to each other. But, you know, if it dealt with a lot of things when I was in the Duran days, and even in the General days, I would lean on Charlie Torano, you know, Charlie Torano's knowledge in this industry, and I would ask him advice. I also go to my peers, you know, when we have things, when we want to put things in place that I know that maybe they've done something similar, or then, you know, I'll speak to Juan Lopez, or I'll speak to Terrence Riley, or guys that I respect in this industry, Miguel Shodell, and get their opinions on things. But, you know, I don't think it's one mentor, but I think you definitely, if you have a good pool of people that you can tap into, knowledge is power. You know, you always want to have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed when you're making a decision. And, you know, we all lean on each other when we're going to hire a broker or when we're going to hire a rep. And, you know, I want to know what other people feel about this person, if they even know who this person is. You know, certainly we all talk. I can't tell you how many messages I've gotten. Listen, we're thinking of hiring this person. What do you think about this person? And I do the same thing, but it's not one, you know, for different things I will reach out to different people, but I don't think anybody in any company talks more than me and Hector do. So Hector might not like it a lot of times, but we talk a lot.
And I have about 12, 13 different mentors that I could call on. So Jack, I'm curious. I love asking this question because you get different answers. If I was to ask you to define a mentor, what would you say? How would you define a mentor?
A mentor to me is somebody that I respect, their opinion. You know, listen, I respect everything Hector says, and you know, whether I'd take his advice or not take his advice, but you certainly have to respect that person. You have to respect that person, their history, their knowledge, that they know what they're talking about. So, you know, the people I tap into, I have the utmost respect for. You know, Eric Espinosa, I can't listen. Eric's not a polished guy. He's not a college grad, you know, but that guy will give you the most solid advice. Anytime I'm struggling with a decision with the sales team or something I want to do, and I sit and talk to Eric, Eric's on point. He has a funny way of delivering the message, but he's a really good person to tap into. Eric's knowledge in this industry is second to none.
Yeah, the one thing I would say, Eric is nothing if not incredibly direct.
Yeah, and he doesn't bullshit. He doesn't bullshit.
No,
he doesn't have a problem. If I come up with an idea he doesn't have a problem. What are you, fucking idiot? He doesn't have a problem, and none of us do. Listen, something that I've pushed to is when we're going into planning for a core line or a blend or a limited release or something, that we all sit around and kind of bounce ideas off each other, because 2 heads are better than 1 and 5 heads are better than 2. You know, you kind of can take a seemingly great idea in your mind, but Hector, Richie, Junior, Senior, they might be able to take that idea and massage it into a monstrosity of a great idea. Some things you haven't thought of, but yeah, you definitely have to work as a team, and everybody has to respect each other's opinion.
Should a mentor be able to tell you all the things you don't want to hear? And what I mean by that is, I'm not a soft, gushy person. Usually when my friends come to me and start telling me their problems, they've already exhausted everybody else that's going to coddle them. I'm the one they go to for like a completely different approach around like a different vision. So what is kind of your approach now that you've been in the industry, you're running this, you obviously are a mentor without maybe even knowing it. So should a mentor be the guy that tells you that cold hard information? And then how do you take an approach to being a mentor to somebody?
Listen, if he's not that guy, I won't tap into him. If he's not the guy that can call you out on something or tell you, you're crazy if you do that, or you're full of shit, or if he can't be honest with you, he's really not a good mentor. I don't want to bounce ideas off of somebody that's just listening and telling me, yeah, that's not a bad idea, go ahead with it. I want to know. I want to know what they're feeling about it.
And that's what makes you and Hector's relationship so good, is because there's no line.
Hector and I are buddies.
But there's no line between you two. And I can only imagine what it would be like to be in an actual discussion where you guys are going back and forth. I would love to hear that, because there's probably a lot of love in that room, but there's also a lot of.
Are you talking about me and Jack, or?
Well, I would hope so. I would hope you guys love each other.
Just making sure. I'm making sure. But
I mean,
listen, I'd like to answer you, Ryan, but I got to call my mentor. So give me a few minutes.
Hey, I love having mentors. To me, it is the fast track to knowledge and failures to learn from. Like, honest to God, that to me is, I love my mentors that look at me and go, I have failed more than I've succeeded, but what I've succeeded with, I've done exceptionally well. And here's what I've garnered from that. That's invaluable information.
Well, this is good. Leading up, we're having the Espinosa mentoring program next year.
Awesome.
We're going to be bringing people in for $495 a month.
Listen, I learned something new. I learned something new in this industry every damn day. So, just when you think you got it figured out, you learn, and you learn what not to do and what to do, and it is what it is. You learn in all facets of life.
No, absolutely. And once you stop learning an industry that you work in, you might as well leave, because it becomes boring.
Yeah. That's what I say.
Yeah. Well, your great minds think alike. It's the bald head that we got the same intelligence.
Why is that? Bald guys always try to form a union. Have you ever seen that? Bald guys are like, hey, we're the same. Hey, you handle your own business. All right. I got my own problem. All right.
So as we get into kind of the wrap up here of the show, I want to kind of fire some lightning round questions off, and Hector answered a lot of them last time around, but I've got some new ones for Hector. So Jack, we'll fire some quick ones off for you. What's your favorite wrapper in a cigar?
Connecticut,
BMX.
So okay, let me ask it differently, because you said that earlier. I apologize. What's a favorite wrapper? What's a wrapper you would like to see Espinosa work with but doesn't currently?
Wow. Listen, we were able to use one of my favorite all-time cigars is the Torano Exodus 50 year that has a Brazilian Arapiraca, and we were able to use it, but use it as a binder in Azulejo. I'd love to be able for Hector to create a blend with an Arapiraca wrapper.
So would Hector.
Yeah, I'd love for that to happen.
So is Arapiraca just a tough wrapper to blend with, or is it super limited?
Tough wrapper to acquire.
it's hard to acquire right now.
Okay. Jack, what is your favorite mixing with a cigar? Coffee, spirit, water,
Pork rinds.
pork rinds? Oh, there you go.
Chicharrones. I listen. I'm not a big drinker. I love on the weekends. I'll sit out here with my wife and we'll share a bottle of wine and cigars. And I'm not that big pairing kind of guy. In the morning, I sit here. I get up pretty early and I sit here and answer some emails and talk to my reps. And I enjoy coffee. Coffee to me is the perfect pairing for cigars. I'm not a bourbon whiskey guy, short of an old fashioned. I do enjoy a good old fashioned, but Hector is sitting tonight. I believe is bourbon night over there, and I've been there many times, but I do not partake in that. A little
Hector.
Woodford Reserve tonight.
Woodford Reserve rye today, sir.
There you go.
So Hector, yours is bourbon, right? Your favorite pairing?
Yeah.
What's your
That and
favorite?
White Claw. I do it because I'm a hipster on the inside. I'm a hipster on the inside.
A cigar and a good pina colada. That's
Good pina
Hector.
colada. That's how I like to do my
I
shit.
like
That's how I roll, player.
I like the skinny drinks the best.
And my Lanta.
mean-
Nothing mixes with like my
What are
Lanta.
the skinny drinks? What is that?
It's like the seltzer waters. They make
White
like
Claw,
a skinny version. It's less whatever. I don't know. I never got into those at all. But Jack, what's your favorite cut?
I can tell at the dojo party you weren't into the skinny drinks.
hey, dojo party got a little out of hand. The liquor went down very smooth. Very smooth at elevation. Jack, what's your favorite cut?
V cut.
And Hector, you pick, right?
I use my teeth.
Your teeth. Okay. So you're like Eric in that.
'cause
What's your
I don't-
favorite size?
My favorite size is 6x48.
What about you, Jack?
A 650 Toro. I love a good Toro.
I like the
650,
6.
I don't like the. I'm not a big fan of the Toro Grandes or we do a 56, a 58. I'm not a 60 ring gauge guy. But the 48, 50, 52 ring gauge is my sweet spot. And Toro, Toro or Robusto.
I like the 5x48 Toros. Those are the best.
Yeah.
No, I'm a Corona Lancero guy myself. I don't quite understand this question, but maybe you guys would. When's the last time you had a good union made cigar?
A good union made cigar.
I don't understand.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't either. Maybe he's trying to get political with the whole union thing. I don't know. But anyways, so Jack, if you had anybody in history outside of Jesus
Or
that
me.
you could have, or Hector, that you could have a cigar with, who would it be, and what Espinosa would you bring?
This is like Oprah. You're trying to make me cry. It would be my father.
Okay.
My father passed. My father was one of the patriarchs of bringing tobacco into Nicaragua. After the revolution,
Really?
my father went to Nicaragua. If you look at the history of tobacco in Nicaragua, Jaime Torano, my father, you'll see his name everywhere. In the Dominican Republic, it's Carlos Torano. And in the 60s, if they were growing tobacco anywhere in the world, there was a Torano there. But my dad passed away when I was 13 years old, so he never got to see me love cigars or get into the cigar industry, or it took a while for me to really embrace the cigar industry. I mean, I was in the 80s, it was a job. When I came back to work for the family, it became I developed that passion for this industry. And I think it would be great to sit and have a cigar with my father where he could see where I was today. I think he'd be very proud of that.
Amazing. No, I that's awesome.
Get me a tissue.
So being that, he had passed when you were 13, how old were you when you had your first cigar?
Oh my God! Listen, early 20s. Early 20s. I had the cigars left my side of the family when my dad passed away.
Okay.
So it went to his brother, his nephew Carlos, Torano Jr. and it went to that side. Very close with them, but I think I smoked more cigars in a week than I used to smoke in a year. It was something. I was that occasional cigar smoker. I was, in Chicago when I lived in Chicago, when I lived back in Miami. If I was at a wedding or if I was at something, and people were enjoying cigars, I would enjoy a cigar. But it wasn't really a part of my life till I came back to the family to work with Torano.
Awesome. That's interesting. Your family is that much into tobacco, but you didn't really get into the cigar world until much later in life.
Much later. I mean, look, yeah, it kind of left my side of the family when I was 13 years old. So
what about you, Hector? If you were able to have a cigar with Jack, what cigar would it be? I don't know if you answered that.
I'm so glad. I'm glad you invited me on the Jack and Ryan show. This is great.
No,
it's good. Good. I like a good romance. I do. I like a good romance.
No, but Jack, what cigar?
Right in the middle of the question, he cut me off, dog. All right, go ahead.
Well, it would depend on what year we'd be smoking this, but definitely, I think he would have been very proud of the Exodus 50 year. So I'd love to enjoy that cigar with him.
Awesome. Now, Hector, I'm
super buttered.
Jack, I got one more question for you.
Just get them all out of the way.
No, seriously,
Hector, can you mute yourself, Hector? Go ahead.
I'll just kick you off the show.
I'll
just kick you off the show.
You never met Alan before either. Yeah.
So what about you, Hector? What famous person from history?
No, listen, I already had that moment. I had that moment 10, 11 years ago when my son came back from the desert. When he came back from the war, we sat and we had a couple cigars. And that was, and he wasn't really talking about what he saw. I wasn't really pushing to know anything. It was just good to have him back. And no smoking with nobody living past, present would make up for that. So that's amazing. That's been the moment for me.
Thank you for sharing that. That's a hell of a moment.
All right, back to Jack.
Back to Jack.
Ask
him what his favorite underwear is.
So Jack, what's your favorite underwear?
I'm a Hanes guy.
Let's see.
You got to have at least 6 or 7 questions queued up for me. You hit Jack right.
No, I do. I got questions for you, Hector.
He lost that paper.
He lost that paper.
I did. It's gone. It's gone.
Just text me. Just text me.
Everybody, Hector's cell phone number is in the description below. He loves 2 a.m. texts and phone calls at 3. He does his morning jog
and during golfing games. He loves to be called during golfing games.
Yeah, that's a quick way to get ignored. All right.
So Hector, when you're done and gone, and the industry's moved on. No. This is, what? I got this question from inside the Hector studio. Honestly, this is a great.
You got this question from James Lipton.
Yes.
Okay.
And he said,
when you die.
No. The same question's coming to you. What would you like this industry to remember you by? How would you want this industry to remember you?
Honestly and sincerely, I'm going to tell you that when I'm done and gone, nobody will remember me. Because
I doubt that very highly.
My footprint will not be that big. Listen, there are men in this industry who spent their whole lives, or in their 50s, 60s, 70s, who've been in this industry their whole lives and have come and gone and been forgotten. I would like to tell you, oh, what a great guy he was, and what a good amount of work he did. But I'm realistic in my thought that I will not be. Unless you were somebody who was a huge fan of our company or when you were personally, I don't think that applies. Listen, I'm just being realistic. I'm not trying to be
humble. That's a valid answer.
That's just what I believe. I would
No,
like
that's an
those.
honest answer.
I would be more honored that maybe the ones that worked with me would remember. Well, you know, he gave everything he had to this company. That would be enough for me.
No, I think Espinosa will become that legacy brand, 100%, and you
We're
will
all
go
hoping.
down.
Yeah, but nobody's gonna remember me and Hector.
Well, that's not
You know,
true.
you're gonna ask Junior in 10 years. He goes, I don't. Jack worked here. Oh, what did he look like? You know, I remember. I think I remember Hector, but I don't.
I'll remember you guys if that means anything.
Very little, Ryan. Very little.
Well, Jack, same question to you. How would you want to be remembered
Man of the people.
inside?
As a man of the people, listen. Whether or not I am remembered, I'd love for it to be that I truly have a passion and a love for this industry, and I try to show that everywhere I go, and I'd love to go out as a wonderful ambassador for this industry.
I don't think anyone would doubt that at all. At all. Hector, where do you see Espinosa 5-10 years from now?
Without Hector,
Without on podcasts, I would hope. Listen, I realistically speaking, it'll be 12 years. Started in 2012, 12 years in February. February of next year will be 12 years. I can see this company becoming a staple brand in humidors throughout the country, and this brand will only continue to grow as long as the people that are in it now are continue to push it and drive it. I would expect that in 5 or 10 years it will. I don't want to say a household name, but will be easily recognizable. Listen, it's very, very rarely that I've introduced myself, and when I set up from Espinosa, they don't know who I am. And I think the time is coming where that won't ever be an issue. So that's where I think we'll be in 5 years. And in 10 years, in 10 years, I'll be 67 years old. I might not even remember. With the way my mind works sometimes, I work for Espinosa. I might not remember that. Who knows, you know? But I think only great things are in store for this company in the next 5 to 10 years. And Jack will be there since he has no plan on retiring.
I never want to retire.
No, he got into this last Ponzi scheme that killed him, so he'll be there until he's gonna be like Uvo. He's gonna be like Avo. He's gonna be there.
I'm gonna work half the day of my funeral,
and then get docked for the other half.
What about you, Jack? Where do you see Espinosa as kind of the new man at Espinosa? Where do you see them in 5-10 years?
Listen, I've seen the growth over these 5 years that I've been with them. I mean, that part where I walk into a store and whether they know me or they don't know me, they're not familiar with the Espinosa line. Those days are fading away. I mean, everywhere I go now, people are fully aware of Espinosa's portfolio. And like Hector says, I think within 5 years, I think it's going to be a brand that anybody that smokes cigars knows, and we've worked hard to get it that way, and we will continue to work hard. Truly, the cigar industry is a grassroots. You got to get out there. You got to travel. You got to meet people. You got to, when Eric does events or when I do events or when Richie's out there and Hector and Junior, I mean, you're building on that fan base. You're building on that fan base, and I've seen a lot of progress in the last 5 years, and I don't expect it to get any slower. I think it's good. We're on a good run.
Well, I love hearing that. Espinosa is one of my favorite brands. Eric's one of my favorite people in the industry.
And
now tomorrow I'll walk in and Eric will say, "I sold the company."
Yeah. So actually, you know what? On that note, Lou actually asked a question here, and I don't want this to come across like I think it's a valid question, but would the brand without Eric, like would Junior step in to Eric's spot when Eric takes the time to really
those are big shoes to fill. Those
Yeah,
are big shoes. I think he would. and I would do everything in my power to help him. But I don't even want to envision a day without Eric. So
No,
a day without Eric is like a day without sunshine.
All right, I'm out.
All right, last question of the night, and this is from Cody. This is not
Enough
for
of the
me,
sucking.
Hector. This is not.
Go ahead,
for
Cookie.
me,
Go ahead,
Hector.
Cookie. Go ahead.
Jack, tell us about the crazy old ladies at the event.
Oh,
with the large
dude,
bottle.
they were. This was at Casbar, man. I don't know where the message shifted in that Guy Fieri's going to be there at 5:30 to the poster at Casbar saying 2 to 6. But I got to Casbar at like 1:45 in the afternoon, and that place was packed. And there were two standout old ladies that had been drinking all day, and they had brought this 10-year-old bottle of wine. I think they got from Guy that was already autographed by Guy, but they wanted him to autograph it again. And they were upset because they were told they had to buy a box of cigars, and then they kind of said, just buy a couple of cigars. This is sort of a private event. It's a cigar industry event.
Sure.
And they bought a couple of cigars, and then they wanted Guy to autograph the cellophane on the cigar. They were driving him crazy. They were a lot of fun, but they were nuts. They were nuts. Cody probably has pictures. Cody probably has pictures of them.
I'm not down with that.
Yeah.
No, yeah. If you're going to show up to something like that, you absolutely have to buy a box.
The problem was that somehow Fox News got a hold of the story that Guy was going to be at, and they put it out on the news, and that attracted many people that weren't cigar people. They thought it was just some sort of meet and greet, and listen, it's one thing if you're bringing bottles of Santo Tequila and having Guy sign it, but to buy a single,
no Mad Dog 2020 bottle,
but we're going to get a lot of that. In Memphis, we had a woman that brought a rolling pin, but she walked in and bought a box of cigars. So she was very worried that Guy would not sign the rolling pin. And actually, Guy signed the rolling pin before he signed the box, because he got such a kick out of the rolling pin that she walked up and said, I'm the crazy woman with the rolling pin. And he signed it to the crazy woman with the rolling pin. So she got the biggest kick in.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, you guys did a big event down at one of Abe's shops. I think it was the West Palm shop or something.
It was Port St. Lucie.
Port St. Lucie, and he said that non-cigar smokers were showing up buying boxes of cigars.
Oh yeah, it happens everywhere. We did the launch event. We did the launch event in Puerto Rico, and everybody asked Eric, well, why Puerto Rico? Well, because that's where Guy was going to be. We are at the mercy of basically the diners, drive-ins, and dives schedule. And when Guy goes to film somewhere, he gives us a day or two where he can do events around the shooting of that show. I actually spent the morning watching them film 2 of the diners, drive-ins, and dives, which was pretty interesting. But the woman that owns the shop in Puerto Rico, when we presented her with the idea of having Guy Fieri there, she was like, listen, anything for you guys. I have no idea who this dude is, but anything for you guys. And then 2 days later, she called and said, who the hell is this guy? I got 400 RSVPs from people that are coming to the event. You got to send me more boxes. She sold like 200 or 300 boxes, and mostly to a lot of women that in Puerto Rico that wanted to meet Guy and get his signature and get his picture. So it is the phenomenon that is Guy.
that is absolutely incredible. Before we end the show, are both of you going to be at TGS this year coming up?
I will be there. We actually, the day before the Great Smoke, we have I'm going to go to the Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dive. It's the South Beach Food and Wine Festival. That's from 7:30 to 10:30. And then at 11 o'clock at night, Cigar Aficionado is hosting a rooftop cigar party hosted by Guy. So that's from 11 to 1 in the morning. And then I got to be out there or wherever the hell the Great Smoke is, out in West Palm or in Northwest Palm or
West Palm, yeah.
The next morning. I will be at the Great Smoke. I'm not sure if Hector will, because there's an event. Is there an event that day or something else?
I have an event in another shop.
Yeah, Hector, we might have to kind of split split up. So I don't think Hector will be there, but I'll be there.
Well, Hector, is that event in Florida?
Yeah, it's in Florida.
Well, I tell you what, I would love to have the opportunity to meet you in person. I've met Jack in person.
I think you should
times.
probably.
You remember meeting me?
Yes, I wasn't drinking heavy by then. I actually have the picture as the memory.
There you go.
But no, I'd love for you to, if there's any way for you to make it up to Smokin' in Boynton Beach, Hector, that week, I would love to have the opportunity to meet you in person.
Let's see how it works out, Ryan. Let's see how it works out.
Awesome. Well, honestly, guys, thank you so much for your time. I know you both are so busy, and this really meant a lot to have both of you guys on the show. It was an absolutely fantastic show. Thank you very much for coming on, and thank you very, very much to all the sponsors that make this show remotely possible. BAMF Cigars, ROCF Cigars, 15% off promo code in the description below. Kristoff Cigars, Karen Berger Cigars, Sagrado Cigars, New Air Humidors as well, 15% off coupon inside the description below. Micallef Cigars, Big Sky Cigars, Cornell and Diehl, La Aurora, Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, and the big guy, Abe DeBabna over at smokin.com. Thank you so much. It's been another live episode here at the Smokin' Studios of the Rocky Mountain Cigar Show. And until we see you all again or talk to you again, smoke what you like, smoke as often as you can, and have a great rest of your week. Bye, everyone. Take care.